If you are looking at buying or leasing a new car, it could be a pony car like the Mustang Dark Horse, or just a midsize sedan like the Hyundai Sonata, I can help by curating a customized list of vehicle recommendations that fit your needs. Visit drakemoscow.com/buying a car to see how I can help you find a new car. This is the 2024 Ford Mustang Dark Horse, and it's currently the top dog 7th generation Mustang. Earlier this year, I spent time with the 2024 Ford Mustang GT and absolutely loved that car, so I really wanted to get my hands on this Mustang Dark Horse to see just how good it is. In general, the Dark Horse runs about 15 grand more than Mustang GT, so what I want to figure out is this car actually worth 15 grand more than its already amazing, less expensive brother? Under this Dark Horse's decal-covered hood, we're going to find a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8, the same engine that you would find in Mustang GT. In that car, it makes from 480 to 486 horsepower, depending on whether or not you get the active valve exhaust, and 415 pound-feet of torque. In Dark Horse, it makes 500 horsepower and 418 pound-feet of torque, so an increase of at least 14 horsepower and 3 pound-feet of torque. Not really that noticeable. What is noticeable is the Dark Horse's exhaust. You get quad 4.5-inch exhaust tips, which sound absolutely menacing, even if there is a 5,500 RPM rev limiter. Other mechanical changes include increased bracing to make this vehicle stiffer, MagneRide dampers are standard, and the suspension has been tuned to be a bit stiffer than Mustang GT, and I've definitely noticed that this car has a harsher ride than the Mustang GT, but that's all in the name of performance and sportiness. You also get Brembo 6-piston brake calipers, which is really nice to help bring this car to a stop quite quickly. There are also some visual changes. You get a revised front grille with an emphasis on these nostrils. It kind of reminds me of the 6th generation Mustang and the grille on that car, and you also get some gray elements around the headlights. Overall, it makes it look a little more aggressive. You also get Dark Horse logos on the sides. Get it? It's a Dark Horse. And you get that logo around back. It's kind of cool that the only logo on the rear of this car is a trim level specific one. Inside, there aren't that many differences between Dark Horse and GT. The biggest thing you're going to notice are the seats. These are the Recaro bucket seats, which really do a great job holding you in place while still being comfortable. They are manually adjusting. There are also a couple Dark Horse logos on the door sill and the dash, and there's dark blue stitching throughout the interior to let you know that this is the Dark Horse. It's still available with a 10-speed automatic like this one, or a 6-speed manual, RIP this one not being the manual, and everything else is pretty much the same, especially if you get them both in the premium trim level, which this one is. Driving the Ford Mustang Dark Horse, the first thing I really notice about this vehicle versus Mustang GT is that stiffer suspension. You definitely can tell that they have increased the rigidity and just the overall bracing of the chassis too. The Mustang GT is really a cruiser. You just kind of cruise down the road in that car. It's really comfortable, surprisingly so. Really good suspension. Seats are also super comfy. This one, they've definitely dialed up the performance of. It feels much more like an athletic vehicle than the GT. Which, for what this car is trying to be, a more aggressive Mustang, definitely fits, and that is a big thing that I can tell. I also can tell that the exhaust is louder on this car. It sounds really good, especially right when you start it up, or just kind of under even medium throttle, medium acceleration, not really pushing it that hard. You really get the rumble, especially if you lower the windows. It sounds really good. I do love the sound that these quad 4.5-inch exhaust tips give you. Even in normal mode, it's pretty menacing. There really isn't a quiet setting to these exhausts, just so you know. I mean, you're buying a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8, you probably want to hear it, and these exhausts definitely let you hear it. It sounds really good in here. What I don't really notice is the increase in power, and that's not really surprising. 14 horsepower from 486 to 400 and to 500. You know, that's not that noticeable, and only 3 pound-feet of torque. It feels just about as fast as the regular Mustang GT, and maybe this one's a little quicker because it has the 10-speed automatic, which is a little faster at shifting than I am myself with the 6-speed manual. The 6-speed manual that you get in this vehicle is a little bit different than the one you get in the Mustang GT. I was sad that this one was not the manual. I do really want to try out the Dark Horse manual's transmission to see how it differs, because I personally loved the transmission on the Mustang GT. It fit the vibe of that car very well. It fit the cruising vibe of that car. It was just so buttery smooth and so easy to shift. So I'm guessing, since they chose to put a different 6-speed manual in the Dark Horse, if you get the manual option, I'm guessing it's a bit sharper, a bit more performance oriented, like the rest of this car is. So Ford definitely made a good improvements to this car to make it a bit sharper than the GT. But $15,000 sharper, I'm not really feeling that. It feels like a Mustang GT with a ride that's a little harsher. I mean, Mustangs, at least Mustangs at this level, they're not like track weapons. And while this vehicle is definitely more dynamic than the GT, with all of the increased bracing, the little more horsepower, it still isn't, you know, an overly dynamic car. I was driving three vehicles that I've driven recently: Corvette Stingray, Toyota Supra with the 6-speed manual and the 3-liter straight 6, and the Maserati MC20. All of those vehicles are very, very dynamic cars, and they feel really at home in an athletic when you're trying to push the car. The Mustang still feels like it has some of that, you know, comfort-oriented cruising nature to it that the GT has. This Dark Horse still has some of those characteristics. You know, this isn't a very light vehicle, and you kind of feel that when you're driving around. It's also not a very small vehicle. It feels pretty large. I'm driving behind a Lexus ES, which is a mid-size luxury sedan, not a very small vehicle, and I feel like I'm sitting about at the same level as that driver. Giving it some gas here. Ooh, but it is fun. Oh my God. Flooring it is a joy. You just get so much sound. And I really do like that this 10-speed automatic really hangs onto the gears when you are giving it gas. It doesn't upshift too quickly, so you can really rev out the car to get the full experience of this exhaust note. I love the tuning that this automatic transmission has. By the way, it's the Mustang's 60th birthday, or it was yesterday, so happy birthday, Mustang. Happy to be driving the Mustang Dark Horse this week. I love Mustangs. I really fell in love with that Mustang GT, and this vehicle is equally as nice, even nicer in a driving sense, but I'm still don't believe it's $15,000 nicer. I'm gonna give it some gas here. Let's go up into sport mode, floor it. Definitely has power, and the sound is just incredible, but yeah, I still feel like you get 98% of the driving enjoyment in the Mustang GT for about $15,000 less. If it were my money, I think I would go Mustang GT. This car, it's just a little more dynamic, yes, but I almost prefer the softer sprung nature of Mustang GT, because in that car, you can just like cruise down the road, put your foot down when you want to when there's a straightaway, but it's almost more fun to drive that car at slow speeds. I know that sounds crazy, but I love just cruising around town, you know, put the windows down, top down if you have the convertible. It's not too like over the top. It's just such a fun car to drive in a low speed setting, honestly. And so by tuning this vehicle to be a bit more track oriented, I feel like the Mustang almost loses some of my favorite qualities of the car. Dark Horse isn't obviously meant to be the same vehicle as GT, and they've definitely successfully changed the characteristics, but they're the characteristics that I loved the most about GT. So maybe this just isn't the Mustang for me. It's definitely a really cool Mustang, and with a limited production run, it will probably sell out because there are a lot of Mustang enthusiasts, and I do absolutely love how this one sounds, and it looks a bit more special with its unique grille, bigger wing, and the option to get decals. But yeah, I think my sweet spot Mustang is the GT. So that's the 2024 Ford Mustang Dark Horse. If it were me, I would save the roughly 15 grand and go Mustang GT, because that is an incredible car. But so is this vehicle, and it is made more special by its upgrades and its rarity. If you are a hardcore Mustang enthusiast, this is a great way to tell the world, and I'm sure it will fly off dealer lots. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.